Hey, it's Tim here, coach of Men Who Want More. To my brothers, my gentlemen, my dudes out there, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Whenever you're watching, I appreciate your support. And this message is about forgiveness. Forgiveness will set you free. I think this is a topic for most of us men that we don't really understand, we don't really dive into. And this was something that I never really had a handle on growing up, forgiveness. We all hear about it, forgive others, forgive ourselves, but how often do we actually really do that? Because I believe forgiveness will set you free. Is it easy? Fuck no. It's challenging at times, very challenging. And this came to me because yesterday was Nelson Mandela Day. And what an incredible role model, I think, for every human being, not just men out there. What he went through, 27 years imprisoned, and being able to forgive from that place, it takes a lot of courage. And he's an idol of mine that I've researched in and around what makes a difference between incredible human beings such as Nelson Mandela and those of us who live well below our potential and don't live a fulfilling and purpose-driven life, I guess. And yesterday was Nelson Mandela Day, as I just said before, and I want to read you a couple of favourite quotes from him. And the first one is, "Forgiveness liberates the soul, it removes fear. Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies." So in your life right now, who do you need to forgive? Who in your life do you need to forgive right now that you haven't been able to? You haven't had the courage to forgive. And it's like, as Nelson Mandela says, drinking poison and hoping that it will kill your enemies. Is it somebody in your life that you just can't find it in your heart to forgive? Is it somebody else? But let's go back to the core of forgiveness. Forgiveness will set you free, so maybe you need to forgive yourself. And this has been a lesson over my last few years, is forgiving myself. At times I know what it's like. We beat ourselves up. Us men out there, we have great expectations and standards within ourselves, and all we want to do is our best each and every moment, whether it's financially, whether it's from a business or career sense, whether it's in our relationships, within how we feel about ourselves, our body and our health. And when we don't meet those expectations, we beat ourselves up badly. And I've done this plenty of times. So I think the first piece here on forgiveness is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for your past. For me, I've had to forgive myself for not making it to the top level of sport that was my only goal and dream. And that was a tough road. Luckily, I did that relatively quickly. Another one was not being financially free and earning millions of dollars by age 30. I always had this goal. And that was something else I had to forgive myself for. I had to forgive myself in not making past relationships work at the level that I'd like to, both romantically and from a family sense and friendship sense. I had to forgive myself for falling off the rails with my health and my energy when that was something that was very valuable to me, and get back on that. So I've had to forgive myself for business failures, forgive myself for failing in certain business ventures in the past. So like you, I know that there may be a fair bit in your past that maybe you haven't even give conscious thought to it, that you need to forgive yourself for, because you're not going to be able to forgive another at the level that is required unless you forgive yourself, unless you're a little bit more kind to yourself, unless you're more compassionate and empathetic towards yourself. Because this beating ourselves up shit that us men love to do, it doesn't serve. It doesn't serve ourselves. It doesn't serve those closest to us, our partners, our family, the people that we interact with on a daily basis, or even those that we don't interact with on a daily basis, but humanity. Forgiveness is key, and it will set you free. Back to Nelson Mandela, 27 years imprisoned, able to come out of that and forgive like an absolute fucking champion, not hold resentment, go on to be Prime Minister of South Africa and absolutely revolutionise that country and the world on what it takes to be an incredible human being, not just man. Another quote from Nelson Mandela: "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." So my question to you, man to man, is what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of in your life that you're not willing to forgive? Afraid that you're not enough? I'm here to reinforce that you are enough. It's your job to break through and to understand that you are enough. And when that self-doubt comes into your head, banish it. We all have it. So what do you need to forgive yourself for, first and foremost? And secondly, who in your past do you need to forgive? Is it your mum? Is it your dad? Is it a sibling, a brother or sister? Is it somebody you did business with? Is it a past partner or spouse? Who is that somebody in your life? And there may be multiple somebodies that you need to forgive. Give yourself the gift of the forgiveness, because forgiveness will set you free. Forgiveness is about setting you free. It's not about making what they did or didn't do right or wrong. It's about forgiving them for you, so you can move on, so you can step more into your strength, so you can be the best man that you can be each and every single day, learning from not forgiving and having those resentments and then breaking through. You deserve that. John, thanks for joining. Zoe, it's great that you really needed to hear this. I'm really happy to serve you there and lift you up. Kevin, thank you. Leroy, great to see you, bud. Nat, thanks for jumping on as normal. So my message here, my key message is forgiveness will serve. Who do you need to forgive? Is it someone in your family? Is it a past relationship? Is it somebody that you've was once friends with but you're no longer friends with? And this doesn't mean forgiving them for what they've done. It means forgiving them because you honour yourself and value yourself more highly, and you no longer let that energy, that resentment, that unforgiving energy dictate who you are and how you show up. Because isn't it true, us as men, when we don't forgive, we have this energy of the ego, of they don't deserve it. Who are they? They don't deserve my forgiveness. But what happens if it wasn't about them, it was more about you? That you deserve the gift of forgiveness. And this has been a journey in my life. I've been lucky enough to be able to forgive and forget pretty quickly in my life, but there are times where my mind plays tricks on me and I find it really hard to forgive certain people for certain situations. But then I always come back to, well, what am I not forgiving myself for? Maybe you're not forgiving yourself that you weren't able to, in the past, at that stage, handle the situation that well. And you said some things or you took some actions that you're not that proud of. Maybe that's what you need to forgive yourself for. Maybe you can look at the other, whoever they are, and balance the equation out and integrate into your being how that actually did serve you and what the gift was. Maybe it made you a stronger man or woman. Maybe it gave you more resilience, more determination, more drive. This is the conversation in and around forgiveness. And surely what Nelson Mandela did when he was in prison for 27 years. Fuck, if he can handle that, you can handle whatever shit's going on in your life and you can forgive. You hearing me here? And whenever I find out that I'm in my ego and I'm struggling to forgive myself or another, this is a great learning lesson. Just think back to somebody like Nelson Mandela, or maybe there's somebody in your life who you idolise, who has just been the epitome of forgiveness. It's like, how do they do that? They started with themselves. And then they just express that to others. Now, you don't have to express your forgiveness to others directly. It doesn't have to be face-to-face or via the phone or via email or whatever way, or social media. But it can be just letting go of that burden within, of forgiving others, forgiving yourself. And I'll give you a concrete strategy that I use most days, actually. I won't say every single day, but most days, probably every 2 to 3 days, in my journaling in the mornings, I'll write, Tim, what do I need to forgive myself for? What do I need to forgive? I'll write a line and then I'll answer that question, because that just helps me bring to the forefront of my mind and my consciousness, what is it that I'm not forgiving within myself first, and then if something pops up, within another. And that allows me to let go. And that allows me to not drink the poison and expect the enemy to die. Because that takes real courage. To forgive takes fucking enormous courage. To forgive yourself and to forgive another, that's courage through and through. Because sometimes we've got to remind ourselves, do the right thing, not the easy thing. The right thing is to forgive. Forgive yourself, forgive them, whoever they are in your life, and put down that baggage, put down that burden. A few more shout outs here. Kevin, Leroy, Nat, thanks for staying on. Zoe, thanks for the share. Kevin, so true, thanks bud. I'm glad that you're resonating with this message. Hey, if this message has resonated you and you too believe that forgiveness is the way forward and that it does serve you and that it's real freedom, then share this message, like this video, do all those wonderful things. I appreciate you being here live. I also appreciate if you're watching the replay. So much gratitude to you. Have a phenomenal day wherever you're watching from, and that's it from me today. So forgive yourself and forgive others, and it's your time to step into your strength and to be the best man you can be.